The desperate diversion Maya Lin surveyed the glittering ballroom of the Grand Metropolitan Hotel with growing anxiety. Crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light across elegant table settings, while Seattle's elite mingled, celebrating Blackwood Design's 10th anniversary. 3 weeks into her new job as a junior interior designer, Maya still felt like an imposter among the confident professionals surrounding her. "You need to network," her friend Zoe had insisted, helping Maya into the midnight blue dress that now felt too revealing. "This is your chance to make connections." Maya sipped her champagne, planning her escape, when a familiar voice froze her in place. "Maya? Is that you?" "No, not tonight. Not here." She turned slowly to face Daniel Foster, her ex-boyfriend of 2 years, whose charming facade had hidden manipulative control. The breakup 6 months ago had left her emotionally drained and professionally derailed after he'd sabotaged her previous position. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, glancing frantically for an exit. Daniel smiled, that practiced expression that once made her heart race, but now sent warning signals blaring. "Surprise! I'm consulting with Blackwood on the Meridian Tower project. Why didn't you tell me you worked here now? We should catch up. I've missed you." His hand reached toward her arm in that possessive way she remembered too well. Panic surged through Maya as memories flooded back, the isolation, the subtle criticisms, the way he'd systematically undermined her confidence while claiming it was for her own good. "Actually, I'm here with someone," Maya blurted, desperate words tumbling out before she could stop them. Daniel's smile faltered. "Really? Who?" In sheer desperation, Maya turned to the nearest man, tall, broad-shouldered, standing alone watching the crowd with quiet intensity. Without thinking, she slid her arm through his. "Him. My date." The stranger turned, surprise flickering across his striking features. Sharp cheekbones, penetrating gray eyes, dark hair swept back from his forehead. For one horrifying moment, Maya thought he would expose her lie. Then something in her expression must have registered. "There you are," he said smoothly, his deep voice curling around her like warm velvet. "I was wondering where you'd disappeared to." Daniel's eyes narrowed as he assessed the stranger. "And you are?" "Ethan," the man replied simply, offering no last name as he placed his hand protectively over Maya's, where it rested on his arm. "And you?" "Daniel Foster, Maya's ex. We were just catching up. Were you?" Ethan's tone remained pleasant, but something steely glinted in his eyes. "Maya mentioned she had a previous relationship end poorly. I assume that was you." Color drained from Daniel's face. "She's exaggerating." "We had differences, I'm sure," Ethan interrupted. "If you'll excuse us, I promised Maya a dance." Before Daniel could respond, Ethan guided Maya away, his hand warm against her lower back as he led her to the dance floor. Once safely distant, Maya exhaled shakily. "Thank you." "I'm so sorry for involving you like that." Ethan's mouth quirked into a half-smile. "It seemed important." It was. "Daniel is complicated. Most toxic people are." He guided her into a gentle waltz with surprising grace. "I'm Ethan, by the way." "Ethan Blackwood," Maya stumbled. Ethan Blackwood, founder and CEO of Blackwood Designs, her employer, notorious for his exacting standards and private nature. The man who could fire her with a word. "Maya Lin," she managed. "Junior designer. I started 3 weeks ago." Recognition dawned in his eyes, but instead of the dismissal she expected, he nodded thoughtfully. "The Westlake Project. Your concepts were innovative, different from the safe approaches the others presented." She stared in disbelief. "You saw my work? I review all major projects. Your perspective was refreshing." As they danced, Maya felt strangely comfortable in his arms, despite her mortification. For the first time that evening, her anxiety receded. Little did she know this desperate diversion would change everything. Retry UB Part 2 to 3 Edit Part 2. Unexpected connections. 2 weeks after the gala incident, Maya sat at her drafting table, sketching concepts for the Blackwood penthouse redesign, a career-making opportunity she still couldn't believe had fallen into her lap. Her department head had announced it with barely concealed surprise. Mr. Blackwood specifically requested you lead the design team for his personal residence. Maya's pencil moved across the paper, creating flowing lines that reflected the spectacular ocean views from the penthouse. She'd visited the space yesterday, a stunning but strangely impersonal environment of stark minimalism. It needed warmth, character, connection to its occupant. Those are interesting choices. Maya jumped, her pencil skidding across the page as Ethan Blackwood materialized beside her desk. Unlike at the gala, today he wore casual attire, dark jeans and a gray Henley that somehow looked more expensive than most people's formal wear. Mr. Blackwood. "I didn't hear you come in." "Ethan," he corrected, leaning closer to examine her drawings. "Especially after using me as a human shield against your ex." Heat bloomed in Maya's cheeks. "About that night. I should apologize properly. It was unprofessional and necessary," he finished. "I recognize the look in your eyes. Fight or flight with no place to run?" Something in his tone suggested personal understanding. Maya studied him as he examined her sketches, the tension in his shoulders, the guarded expression beneath his composed exterior. "These incorporate natural elements," he observed, fingers tracing the curved lines on her draft. "Why? Your penthouse has magnificent views but feels disconnected from them," Maya explained, professional confidence overtaking her nervousness. "I'm proposing we bring organic elements inside, water features, living walls, natural stone, to create harmony between the space and its surroundings. Like healing a separation," he murmured, almost to himself. "Exactly." Maya's excitement overcame her reserve. Spaces should reflect their inhabitants. "Right now, your home feels like—" She trailed off, suddenly aware she might be overstepping. "Like what?" Ethan prompted. "Like a beautiful hotel suite. Perfect but impersonal. Unlived in." Instead of offense, something like admiration flickered in his eyes. "Most people tell me what they think I want to hear. I'm not very good at that," Maya admitted. "My directness has gotten me in trouble before." "It's refreshing." Ethan straightened. "I'd like you to present your complete concept tomorrow. Dinner at the penthouse so you can explain your vision in context." Maya blinked. "Dinner? Is that a problem?" "No, it's just unusual." A hint of a smile touched his lips. "I'm an unusual client." After he left, Maya's colleague Sophia wheeled her chair over. "Was that Ethan Blackwood having an actual conversation? The man communicates exclusively through emails and his assistant. He wants me to present at his penthouse tomorrow." Sophia's eyes widened. "Professionally? Or—" "Of course professionally," Maya insisted, ignoring the flutter in her stomach. The next evening found Maya stepping from the elevator directly into Ethan's penthouse, clutching her portfolio with sweaty palms. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased a panoramic sunset painting the sky in fiery hues. Ethan greeted her with unexpected warmth. "Welcome. I hope you don't mind, but I've arranged for dinner to be served while we talk." The dining table was set for two, with flickering candles and wine glasses that caught the dying sunlight. As they reviewed her designs over exquisitely prepared food, Maya discovered an attentive listener behind Ethan's reserved exterior. He asked thoughtful questions, challenging her thinking without dismissing it. Most designers would have proposed sleek modernism, he noted. "Why take this risk?" Maya considered her answer. "Because a home should be a sanctuary, not a showpiece. Your public life is structured and formal. I think your private space needs to balance that. Somewhere you can truly exhale." Something vulnerable flickered across his face. "How did you know that's what I needed?" "I recognize fellow introverts," she said softly. "We need our spaces to replenish us, not just impress others." As the evening progressed, their conversation drifted beyond design. Ethan spoke of building his company from nothing after leaving his family's legacy business, while Maya shared her journey of rebuilding her confidence after Daniel's emotional manipulation. "He convinced me my ideas were worthless," she admitted. "I started doubting every instinct." Ethan's expression darkened. "People who diminish others are usually compensating for something." When Ethan walked her to the elevator, something had shifted between them. No longer just client and designer, not quite friends, but something with undeniable potential. "I look forward to seeing this vision become reality," he said, holding her gaze longer than necessary. Maya smiled, feeling truly seen for the first time in years. So do I. Neither realized they were already creating something far more significant than a redesigned penthouse. Brave new beginning 3 months passed. Maya's professional life stabilized. She joined a smaller design firm where her innovative approach was valued, even if the projects lacked the prestige of Blackwood Designs. The tabloid scandal faded into obscurity, replaced by fresher gossip about Seattle's elite. Still, she avoided certain restaurants, changed her morning coffee route, all to minimize the chance of encountering Ethan. The wound of his abandonment had scabbed over but remained tender. What she didn't know was that Ethan had been watching over her from a distance. After weeks of investigation, his security team had uncovered the full extent of Daniel and Victor's conspiracy, how they'd planted stories, manipulated evidence, even hacked her accounts to create the appearance of impropriety. Most damning was the recording of Daniel admitting their scheme. Blackwood's weakness is his trust issues. The moment he thinks Maya betrayed him, he'll self-destruct like last time. Then we move on the Tokyo deal while he's distracted. The evidence had been enough to quietly force Victor's resignation from his own company board and ensure Daniel would never work in Seattle's design community again. But it hadn't been enough to repair what Ethan had broken with Maya. On a rain-soaked Tuesday morning, Maya entered her favorite local bookshop seeking comfort in familiar surroundings. Navigating toward the architecture section, she froze when she spotted a tall figure already there, examining a volume on sustainable design. Ethan looked different, thinner, with shadows beneath his eyes suggesting sleepless nights. Before she could retreat, he looked up, recognition and something like hope flashing across his face. Maya. She considered walking away, but found herself rooted in place. Ethan. "I've been hoping to see you," he said quietly. "Really?" "Because you made yourself very unavailable when I needed to speak with you." His expression tightened with regret. "I deserved that." "You deserved worse." Maya clutched her bag like a shield. "Why are you here?" "Honestly?" "Because your redesign recommendations included supporting local businesses within walking distance of residential spaces." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "This shop was on your list for the community?" "Around my building." The revelation that he'd not only remembered her design philosophy, but implemented it even after dismissing her struck Maya speechless. Ethan continued into the silence. "I owe you an explanation. Several, actually. And an apology that can't possibly be adequate. You could have called. Would you have answered?" Maya's silence conceded the point. "Can we talk? Please?" "Not here." He gestured toward the cafe next door. "Just 15 minutes. Logic urged refusal, but the same intuition that had once recognized the wounded soul beneath his powerful exterior now sensed genuine remorse. 15 minutes. Once settled with steaming cups, Ethan placed a USB drive on the table between them. "Everything's here. Evidence of what really happened. Daniel was working with Victor Ramsey to sabotage both of us." His voice remained steady, but his fingers betrayed tension as they tapped against his cup. They orchestrated the tabloid stories, manipulated evidence, created a situation designed to trigger my worst insecurities. And it worked perfectly, Maya observed. Yes. No excuses, no deflection. I've spent my life building walls to protect myself from being used. When those stories broke, I reverted to old patterns. I shut down. I pushed you away. You didn't trust me enough to even hear my side. It wasn't about trust in you. Ethan leaned forward. It was about trust in myself, in my own judgment. 8 years ago, someone got close to me in a similar way. It was an elaborate corporate espionage scheme that nearly cost me everything. The pattern seemed identical. Understanding dawned. "So you investigated me?" "I did," he admitted. "It was wrong. By the time I discovered the truth about Daniel and Victor, the damage was done. I'd already hurt you in exactly the way you'd been hurt before." Maya studied him, seeing beyond her anger to the genuine regret in his eyes. "Why tell me this now? What do you want?" "Nothing you don't want to give." Ethan's gaze held hers steadily. "I completed the penthouse renovations following your designs. Every detail exactly as you envisioned. Because even when I doubted everything else, I never doubted your brilliance. The simplicity of this truth touched something deep within her. The space is beautiful, he continued, but it's still missing something essential. What? The person who understood what I needed before I did. The woman brave enough to be authentic in a world of strategic appearances. He reached across the table, not quite touching her hand. I don't expect forgiveness, Maya. But I needed you to know the truth. Maya looked at his extended hand, remembering how it had felt when he'd guided her away from Daniel that first night. How it had brushed against hers while selecting materials for his home. The warmth and strength it had promised but ultimately withheld. We both have trust issues, she said finally. Mine aren't magically healed because you explained yours. I know. This would be complicated, messy, with no guarantees. Life rarely offers those. His expression softened. But some risks are worth taking. Maya considered the man before her, not the powerful CEO or the wounded recluse, but the complex human being who'd failed but returned to face his mistakes. Who'd fought for justice on her behalf, even believing she might never know. Slowly, deliberately, she placed her hand in his. I don't want to start over. That would mean forgetting everything, good and bad. I want to continue, but differently. With truth between us this time. Relief and gratitude transformed his face. I'd like that. I have conditions, Maya warned. Complete honesty. No more investigations or shutting down when things get difficult. And you need to actually communicate, not just disappear into your head, agreed. His thumb traced circles on her palm. I have one condition too, which is that you finish what you started. At her questioning look, he clarified, not just the penthouse. Helping me create a real home, somewhere that isn't just a beautiful shell, but a place with meaning, with connection. Maya felt something long dormant unfurling in her chest, not just attraction or affection, but possibility. The chance to build something lasting from broken foundations, I think, she said softly, interlacing her fingers with his. That's a project worth undertaking. Outside, Seattle's perpetual rain had stopped. Sunlight broke through clouds, casting everything in the transformative glow that follows storms. Familiar landscapes made new again. Ordinary moments turned extraordinary by contrast with what came before. Like them, changed by what they'd weathered, stronger for having faced their deepest fears, and brave enough to begin again with eyes wide open to both the shadows and the light. The weight of success rain drummed steadily against the lake house windows, creating a soothing rhythm that Nathan hadn't realized he missed. 3 days had passed since dinner with Lily, 3 days of unexpected contentment as he tackled small repairs around his grandmother's property instead of immediately calling real estate agents. His phone vibrated insistently. 27 missed calls from his executive team, countless urgent emails about acquisition negotiations and quarterly projections. Nathan silenced it again, focusing instead on the leaky faucet he was repairing. The simplicity of the task brought surprising satisfaction. A knock at the door interrupted his work. He opened it to find Lily, raincoat glistening with droplets, holding a covered dish. Neighborly welfare check, she explained with a smile. Plus Mom's lasagna. She insisted once she heard you were staying here. You're getting soaked. Come in. Nathan stepped aside, suddenly conscious of his faded jeans and t-shirt. Lily surveyed the living room, noting the open toolbox and scattered repair supplies. Playing handyman? Turns out I remember some things from shop class. He took the lasagna, their fingers brushing. Thanks for this. Mom would have delivered it herself, but she has book club. Lily removed her wet coat, revealing a soft green sweater that matched her eyes. She's quite curious about the billionaire who once stole her daughter's heart. The phrase hung in the air between them. Nathan set the dish down and turned to face her fully. I was an idiot, he said quietly. Lily's expression softened. You were ambitious. We were young. I could have had both, success and... He gestured between them. This, could you? She wandered to the window overlooking the lake, turbulent under the storm. Your life is in New York, Nathan. Private jets, corporate acquisitions, galas. Mine is here. Maybe I needed to come back to realize what matters. He moved to stand beside her. It's strange. I've achieved everything I set out to do, but lately it feels hollow. Lily turned to him. The mighty Nathan Cole questioning the empire he built? The empire's fine. It's the emperor who's restless. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining naturally. Show me your studio sometime? Your grandmother mentioned you converted the boathouse. Her eyes widened slightly. You want to see my sanctuary? I want to see the world you've created while I was building mine. The rain intensified as they shared the lasagna by the fireplace. Nathan describing his latest project, AI systems for underfunded hospitals, while Lily sketched idly on a napkin, capturing his profile with a few deft strokes. Later, they braved the rain to dash across the property to the boathouse studio. Inside, Lily's creative space bloomed with color. Canvases in various stages of completion, brushes in mason jars, the comforting scent of paint and possibility. It's not much, but it's mine, she said, watching his reaction carefully. Nathan moved through the space reverently. It's everything, Lily. It's authentic. He stopped before an unfinished canvas, a man in silhouette against a brilliant sunrise, his posture suggesting someone at a crossroads. Started this 3 days ago, she admitted. After our dinner. Something unspoken passed between them. Nathan stepped closer, drawn by the magnetic pull that had always existed. I've been thinking about you for 12 years, he confessed, voice low. Not constantly, but in quiet moments when success felt empty. Lily's breath caught. Nathan, tell me you haven't thought about us, about what might have been. Of course I have, she whispered. But thinking about something and rebuilding it are different things. His hands framed her face gently. Then let's start with this moment. The first touch of their lips was hesitant, a question. The second answered with certainty. 12 years dissolved as Lily's arms wound around his neck, Nathan's hands sliding to her waist, drawing her closer. The kiss deepened, igniting dormant embers into sudden flame. Paint-stained fingers tangled in his hair as they moved backward until Lily's hips met her workbench. Nathan lifted her onto it, their bodies pressing closer, heartbeats accelerating in tandem. Her soft gasp when his lips found her neck was the sweetest sound he'd ever heard. I've missed you, he breathed against her skin. More than I allowed myself to admit. Outside, thunder rumbled as the storm intensified, matching the growing urgency between them. Lily's sweater slipped from one shoulder, revealing skin like porcelain in the studio's warm light. Nathan traced its contours reverently, rediscovering her with artist's appreciation. Stay with me tonight, Lily whispered against his lips. No promises beyond dawn, just tonight. As rain lashed the windows and thunder shook the heavens, they found themselves creating something new from the ashes of what once was. Something neither had anticipated when Nathan's sleek car first rolled back into Cedarwood Springs. Crossroads and choices. Morning light filtered through the boathouse windows, casting golden patterns across the makeshift bed they'd created from cushions and spare blankets. Nathan watched Lily sleep, memorizing the peaceful curve of her lips, the splash of freckles across her nose that had multiplied since their youth. His phone vibrated again, the fourth time in 20 minutes. With a sigh, he carefully extricated himself and stepped outside to answer. This better be critical, Marcus, he answered quietly. His CFO's voice crackled with tension. The Singapore investors are backing out. They're concerned about the security breach rumors. Bloomberg is running a story tomorrow. We need you back in New York. Today. Nathan pinched the bridge of his nose. What does legal say? That's the thing. The source might be internal. We need damage control from the top. The peaceful spell of Cedarwood shattered as reality reasserted itself. Book the jet. I'll be at the regional airport by noon. When he re-entered the studio, Lily was awake, wrapped in a blanket, sketching something in quick, decisive strokes. She looked up, her expression shifting as she read his face. Let me guess, she said softly. Real world calling? Nathan sat beside her, taking her hand. Company crisis. I have to go back. She nodded, unsurprised yet unable to hide her disappointment. I knew this bubble wouldn't last. Lily, this isn't... He struggled to find the right words. Last night wasn't nostalgia or convenience, wasn't it? She set aside her sketchbook. We fell back into each other because it was easy, familiar. But your life is there, and mine is here. It doesn't have to be that way. The words escaped before he could analyze them, surprising himself with their sincerity. Lily stood, wrapping the blanket tighter. What are you saying exactly? Nathan followed, reaching for her. I'm saying I've built something impressive in New York, but I forgot why I wanted success in the first place, to create a life worth living, with people worth loving. People change, Nathan. I'm not the same girl you left behind. You're better, he said fiercely. Stronger, more certain of who you are. I'm the one who lost my way. Her eyes searched his. And now? You'll rush back to New York, put out this fire, and then what? I don't know, he admitted honestly. But I know I don't want another 12 years to pass before I see you again. Lily's phone chimed. The cultural center needed her for an emergency with a leaking roof. Reality intruded from all sides. Go save your company, she said, pressing a gentle kiss to his cheek. I need to save my gallery from flooding. Real life awaits us both. They parted with tentative promises to call, the magic of the night giving way to the practical light of day. Nathan packed quickly at the lake house, his thoughts a jumbled mess of corporate strategy and Lily's smile. As his driver navigated toward the regional airport, Nathan's phone rang continuously. Market analysts, board members, his executive team, all demanding his attention, his decisions, his presence. Between calls, he found himself staring at the passing landscape, at the small-town life he'd once been so eager to escape. The private jet waited on the tarmac, sleek and imposing. As Nathan prepared to board, a text message appeared. Whatever you decide, know that last night meant something. It always did with us. The simple message stopped him in his tracks. In that moment, the weight of his choices, past and present, pressed down upon him. The waiting jet represented everything he'd worked for. Power, influence, wealth beyond imagination. But for what purpose? To what end? Nathan stood on the precipice between two worlds, the empire he'd built and the connection he'd rediscovered. The flight attendant gestured expectantly toward the stairs. Mr. Cole? We're cleared for takeoff. His grip tightened on his phone, Lily's message illuminating the screen. 12 years ago, he'd chosen ambition without hesitation. Now, older and perhaps wiser, he faced the same choice with new perspective. Mr. Cole? Sir, we need to depart. Nathan took a deep breath, suddenly crystal clear about what truly mattered and what he needed to do next.